Esteemed colleagues, we continue our work. The Minister of Defense of Ukraine spokesperson on NATO 880 related issues, Colonel Motuzyanyk. Greetings to everyone. The information on main events that took place yesterday in the ATO area. Yesterday, active military actions in ATO area continued. The enemy continues attempts to move forward near Avdiivka and is looking for weak spots in our defense and is using heavy weaponry near Popasna, Avdiivka, the front section between position Shakhta-Butovka, Piski, and Krasnogorovka near the Kuchaevsk and near Azov Sea. The situation is very alarming. The authorities and volunteers are doing everything possible to ease the sufferings of civilians. Lugansk direction, almost all military almost all enemy's shellings were in Popasnyansky district. Between Vrubivka and Troitska, the most difficult situation was yesterday between 7 and 11 p.m. when the occupants were shelling at our positions from mortars, guns, and armored equipment. The militants were also starting firing in the morning and in the daytime and at night. There was a violation of ceasefire in Krymsky. There were 2 shellings and 1 provocation using light weaponry. In the result of the aggressive actions of occupants, 1 building of a school at the territory of Trehizbinska village council was damaged, and also 1 a roof of a residential house was ruined in Vrubivka. The militants damaged 2 lines of electricity. 1 of them was restored. In total, in Lugansk direction, there were 17 shellings of the enemy. Donetsk direction, as before, the military actions near Avdiivka lasted all day round. The enemy continues to attack our positions, shells at the city from all the possible weaponry, which leads to new sufferings of civilians and damages in residential areas. Yesterday, in the daytime, the law enforcers found the body of a local citizen who perished from the enemy's shell. According to the previous assessment, in the period from 29th of January in Avdiivka, 1 civilian was killed and 8 were wounded. 40 private houses and 6 apartments were damaged. The units of the armed forces of Ukraine established the process of supplying the timber and are ready to open additional heating points. Also, the enemy strengthens the attack at the flank position Shakhta-Butovka. Yesterday, for several hours, the tank shellings from Spartak continued. Also, the enemy was shelling from mortars, guns, and Grad systems. It was unquiet at Svetlodarsk, Arch, in Zaitsevo, Verkhnotoretsky, and Piski. Everywhere the enemy is using heavy weaponry, is trying to distract attention of Ukrainian leadership from the direction of main attack. The Ukrainian troops respond to the occupants by fire. Mariupolsky direction, yesterday after midnight, the occupants started shelling at Krasnogorivka. The mines and shells were falling on this town for an hour. Later, the policemen discovered 4 blown shells of 122 millimeter caliber. Also, in the first half of the day, the militants were shelling near Marinka, Bogdanivka, and Novogrigorivka. In the second half of the day, the military actions strengthened. All along the front line, there was a wave of enemy's provocations using the small arms, guns, and mortars. Late at night, after 10 p.m., the occupants shelled at Ukrainian positions from a large distance. Near Bogdanivka, the enemy was using mortars and Granitная Shirokina 122 millimeter guns. In Vodyane, also guns and Grad systems. In total, during the 24 hours in Mariupolsky direction, there were 35 military shellings, enemy shellings. In 11 cases, the enemy was using mortars and artillery. During the 24 hours, in the result of military actions, unfortunately, 2 Ukrainian servicemen were killed, 14 were wounded, 6 were injured. Both servicemen who were killed, the soldier and the officer, and they participated in repelling one of the enemy's attacks near Avdiivka. One serviceman was wounded near Popasna. 4 more were wounded at the position Shakhta Dutovka during the shelling of the enemy from guns and mortars. The rest of the wounded and injured were injured and wounded near Avdiivka. We express our condolences to the families and friends of the servicemen who perished for Ukraine. Shelling at Ukrainian positions, the enemy is also making friendly fire.
Yesterday we registered 2 episodes of such shellings in Avdiivka and Vadene, and they experienced losses from their own fire. 2 people were killed and 17 were wounded. Near Kharkiv, the SBU law enforcement had detained a militant who planned to carry out a series of subversive actions. In 2014, he participated in the occupation of Kharkiv city-state administration building. Then he was a member of Girkin team, then participated in Sparta band formation. He arrived into Donetsk Oblast, having a task to organize subversive acts on the energy objects in the flat of this terrorist. Law enforcers found more than 1 kilo of TNT, grenades, explosion initiation devices, etc. Also, near Kolyadivka in Novoaidar and Lugansk region, 2 storages of weaponry were found. Also near Pavlopil in Donetsk region, the grenades of F1 and RGD-5 were found. 1 more former militant have used the program of SBU. You are awaited at home. The former resident of Lysychansk joined illegal band formations back in 2014, then continues mocking and total disorder in the band formation forced him to look for better life in Russia, but his relatives convinced him to surrender to SBU and to use this program. You are waited at home, and now he came back to peaceful life. In the south of Ukraine, the military exercise continues. Yesterday, the Mariners Battalion trained in deblocking of the airfield in the northwest of Odessa and organized the conventional defense of this airport. 11 trucks with humanitarian aid will cross the contact line near Novotroitsk and Mayorsk checkpoints. The trucks provide foodstuff and hygiene kits for Donetsk Oblast residents. Also, medical kits amounting to 142 tons. Yesterday, President of Ukraine, Petro Poroshenko, had signed the decree about awards to those Ukrainian servicemen who are defending Avdiivka. 48 soldiers soldiers and officers were awarded with these presidential awards, and 10 of them were awarded post-mortem. The president's degree had awarded Captain Andrei Kizila, commander of the 70 of battalion from 72nd Mechanized Brigade, was awarded with the Golden Star of the Hero of Ukraine medal post-mortem. He graduated from the military academy named after Petro Sagaidachny in 2014, and immediately became one of the commanders in the military unit. On Sunday, 29th, this was Captain Kizila who took command over the unit of Ukrainian forces which repelled an offensive near Avdiivka industrial area. This combat resulted in the liquidation of 20 militants and conquest of one prisoner of war. Then, in course of repelling the attack under very fierce artillery shelling, Captain Kizila had heroically fallen. And our servicemen continue to defend this position even now. There are small son and a wife and a widow who remained after Andrei Kizil. And now the questions. News from Ukraine. Could you please develop more about the reasons why situation in Avdiivka became the place of attacks, why there is a series of shellings there? We should look at the at all the actions of our enemies comprehensively, and the current situation at the front line is continuation of the attempts to compromise Ukraine politically in the international arena, that is to cause shellings in response and to demonstrate that Ukraine is violating ceasefire conditions. On the other hand, strategically, there is an important highway over there. There is a chemical plant and water filtration plant located in this very area. And these are important strategic objects which attract the shellings of the enemies. Thank you. Dear colleague, the next event will be in some minutes.